Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Danelle. Hope this finds you doing well. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the American dream. What is the so-called American dream and what can Bitcoin do to help more people achieve the American dream? As usual, let's go ahead and start off with the cryptocurrency market update. As you can see, Bitcoin is actually above $60,000. It is up over 11% over the past week. We shall see if it will continue to climb up towards 70. We've seen this play out many times before over the last several months. Bitcoin basically has been trading, and let's go to the Bitcoin chart. Bitcoin has basically been trading between $50,000 and $70,000 for the majority of 2024, basically since March when we had that breakout after the Bitcoin ETF started trading on the public markets. So we're looking to see if Bitcoin, first of all, can get towards 70,000, and then if it'll actually close above that $65,000 to $70,000 level to give some indication that there's a possibility that we could go on more of a bull run towards the end of this year and going into 2025. Many prognosticators are still believing that Bitcoin will get upwards of 100,000 potentially before the end of this year, but definitely going into 2025. Obviously, time will tell. We can't predict the future, but we shall see what happens with so much other stuff going on in the macroeconomic environment. The Federal Reserve in the U.S. is looking to raise those or I should say cut the interest rates, the federal fund rate, sometime this upcoming week. So we will look forward to that, and we'll be interested to see how Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, as well as traditional equities and other assets will react to the interest rate cuts. But as we said, it remains to be seen. So we have to get the actual announcement upcoming this week. We can also see that Ethereum is up 6%, trading just under $2,400. Solana at $134, up nearly 5%. XRP is up nearly 12%, trading at almost 60 cents. It's getting up there, trading at 58 cents. Dogecoin staying in that 10-cent range. It's up 11% over the past week. Toncoin is making a bit of a comeback, up I should say 19% over the past week, now above $5.6. And then you also see Tron is hanging in there in the top 10, still holding off Cardano, trading at nearly 15 cents, and it's actually down 2%. So what is the American dream? We saw a interesting article about the American dream, and Investopedia just recently came out with their forecast for 2024 in terms of what it would cost to have the American dream. As you can see here, the American dream is the belief that anyone, regardless of where they were born or what class they were born into, can attain their own version of success in a society in which upward mobility is possible for everyone. So as many of you know, the United States is a capitalist society, and so it does offer opportunities for one to come into the country or be born into the country and have the opportunity to attain their own version of success in this society. Obviously, it's getting more and more difficult because of inflation. We've talked about that in previous videos. We see that on average, inflation is at least 2 to 3% every year. So you have to be able to make up for not only in having an increase in your income of at least 2 to 3% every year, but also the cost of varying assets and services can go up. For example, car insurance is extremely high. It's much more than 2%. So in reality, actually, inflation is probably much higher than 2%, maybe closer to 6 or 7%. But when we look at the American dream, right now, it's saying, according to Investopedia, there's a lot of factors obviously that go into it, but there's a few things that they do look at in terms of what people would consider a part of the American dream. One of it being owning a home, being able to own a car, being able to have the freedom to take vacations every year. So now, according to Investopedia, in 2024, the American dream now costs $4.4 million. So they break it down and go into each category that they list here. When you look at how much you would need for retirement, how much you pay on having a new car, how much it would cost to have a wedding. This is basically $4.4 million for a household of 4. So basically 2 adults and 2 children. So obviously it's going to depend on the individual, whether they have children or not, and whether they're sharing a home. But it costs approximately $900,000 for payments, including the down payment, the mortgage payments, some of the taxes and insurance that are involved in owning a home. If you have a pet, a lot of people now have pets, so pets is a consideration as well as how much it would cost to pay for a funeral. So you can see a little bit more about the breakdown here and the descriptions of each item that they broke out. And you can see here retirement, for example, they looked at the minimum savings that you would need for 20 plus years after retirement, which in the United States is around 65, and say you could live until around 85, you would need at least 20 years of retirement. They're looking at the total that it would cost to for a car, for example, to pay for a car every month, and that total would be over $800,000 for two adults having two basically new cars. And so obviously this is going to change for each individual, for each family, but it just gives you a general idea that the American dream is costing millions of dollars. And when you think about inflation and the fact that the M2 supplies we've talked about as well, that it continues to climb, that the amount of money that's being printed, the amount of money that's circulating out in the economy continues to go up. So what we're looking for in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is that Bitcoin is a finite asset. It is a fixed monetary policy. So there will only be 21 million. So Michael Saylor, who is an evangelist of Bitcoin, and his company that he founded, MicroStrategy, continues to dollar cost average into Bitcoin. They're actually dollar cost averaging up because, as you can see here, they have now acquired another 18,300 Bitcoin, now bringing their total to 244,800 Bitcoin. That has been acquired for approximately $9.45 billion. So now it is worth over 50% of what they paid if you go off of the cost of Bitcoin or the price of Bitcoin right now. So they now have acquired Bitcoin, and on average, their average is at $38,000 per Bitcoin. So they continue to acquire no matter what the price is. You can see they acquired Bitcoin at about $60,000, so they weren't able to get it exactly at the dip price when it's dipped down to 53,000. But Michael Saylor has said no matter what, he will continue to buy Bitcoin at its all-time highs. They plan on accumulating as much Bitcoin as possible. They plan on holding their Bitcoin. Obviously, time will tell, and it remains to be seen, but you can see here that they have earned a yield of 4.4% quarter to date and 17% year to date just off of them holding their Bitcoin. So if we look here at Bitcoin and how it stacks up against their other major assets, including the S&P 500, high yield corporate bonds, gold, which it is compared to a lot because many people believe that Bitcoin is the next or is digital gold. You look at emerging markets as well as bonds and commodities. Bitcoin, as you can see here, is extremely volatile. In 2021, it was up 58%. Then in 2022, it went down 65%. And then in 2023, it was up over double at 156%. Some people love and embrace the volatility. You can actually do a lot with volatile assets, but over the long run, if we look at what BTC has done every year over the last 11 years, not including this year hasn't ended yet, but if you look at 2013 all the way to 2023, 8 out of those 11 years, Bitcoin outperformed every other asset. And they looked at gold, they look at the S&P aggregate bond index, they compared it to the Dow Jones, they compared it to a high yield corporate bond index, and you can see here that Bitcoin has outperformed them 8 out of 11 years, and overall it has outperformed all of them. So it just goes to show that it having its monetary policy of a fixed supply compared to an inflated supply of fiat currencies, you can see the difference when it comes to how it stacks up to some of these other assets. So continue to check us out here on X. We post there nearly every day, as well as on IG, to keep you posted on everything that's going on with Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, digital assets, and emerging markets. We see that it costs a ton of money to have the American dream, and we all want some semblance of the American dream. So what will you do to get to your goals and to get to that dream? Continue to stay tuned here with Networkchain. We appreciate you watching, and we hope that you take care. In the meantime, we look forward to linking up with you on the Networkchain. Take care. Bye-bye.